Esther was the kind of person who walked into a room and instantly lit it up, her laughter like a melody, her vibrant braids catching the light as if by magic. Everyone loved Esther, especially Aria. Welcome to Twisted Love Files. If it's your first time here, don't forget to hit the subscription button and the notification bell. Today, we're uncovering a chilling story from a serene Lagos estate, where two best friends, Esther and Aria, shared everything, until one man, Franklin, arrived. Get ready because this file is truly twisted. For 25 years, Esther and Aria had been inseparable. From shared childhood games in their family compounds to shared secrets whispered late into the night, their friendship was a tapestry woven tight with countless memories. Aria, with her calm, thoughtful intensity, had always felt a fierce protectiveness towards Esther, a feeling often mistaken for devotion. But beneath the surface of that devotion, a shadow had begun to grow, fed by years of subtle comparisons, of always being the quieter one, the one slightly out of the spotlight. Aria loved Esther, yes, but a part of her also resented the ease with which Esther seemed to collect joy and affection. Their lives were comfortably intertwined in a serene estate in Lagos. Esther, a talented graphic designer, lived in a beautiful detached house with a sprawling garden filled with tropical flowers she tended with loving care. Aria, a meticulous archivist at a prominent cultural center, lived in a neat semi-detached house a few streets away within the same estate. They had their weekly dinner dates, their spontaneous coffee runs, their shared love for classic Nigerian films and long walks in the nearby community park. It was a perfect, uncomplicated friendship, or so everyone thought. Then Franklin arrived. Franklin was not just handsome. He was a force of nature. Tall, with eyes the color of rich cola nuts and a smile that promised adventure, he swept into their Lagos circle as the new marketing director for a burgeoning tech firm. He was charismatic, quick-witted, and genuinely kind. Esther met him first at a local art exhibition she had helped organize. Aria had been there too, observing subtly from the background. She saw the way Franklin's gaze lingered on Esther, the easy way Esther blushed and laughed at his jokes. A familiar twist of unease started in Aria's gut. This was different. This wasn't just a passing admirer. Franklin, however, wasn't just charmed by Esther's vibrant spirit. He made an effort to include Aria, too. He'd make light-hearted jokes about Esther's right-hand woman, always with a friendly wink that was meant to be inclusive. But to Aria, each wink, each shared laugh between Franklin and Esther, felt like a tiny, deliberate stab. She found herself watching him, studying his movements, listening to his voice. She was drawn to his confidence, his easy charm, the way he held himself. It was a dangerous, silent obsession. Esther, utterly oblivious to the silent battle raging within her best friend, was falling deeply in love. Franklin would visit her house, bringing fresh fruits from the market, sharing stories of his travels, and playing his guitar softly in the evenings. Aria would often be invited to these gatherings, a polite third wheel, observing the tender glances, the brush of hands, the growing intimacy. Each time she left Esther's house, a bitter cold settled in her chest. She would go home, the scent of Esther's flowers and Franklin's cologne clinging to her clothes, and spend hours staring into the darkness, picturing Franklin, imagining him with her. She started changing. Small things at first. A new hairstyle, a more flattering outfit for a friend's party, subtle attempts to draw Franklin's attention away from Esther when they were all together. She'd offer to help Franklin with minor tasks, bringing him coffee at work, or volunteering for committees he was involved in. He was always grateful, always polite, but his eyes, Aria noticed, always drifted back to Esther. One evening, Esther called Aria, her voice bubbling with barely contained excitement. "Aria, you won't believe it. Franklin. He took me to that beautiful viewpoint overlooking the lagoon. He got down on one knee. We're engaged." The world tilted for Aria. The phone almost slipped from her numb fingers. She managed a strangled, "Oh, Esther, that's wonderful." The word felt like ash in her mouth. She could hear Esther's joyful tears, her plans for a summer wedding, a life with Franklin. a life that should have been Aria's. That night, the shadow in Aria's heart fully consumed her. The years of quiet resentment, the simmering jealousy, the desperate, unrequited love for Franklin, it all coalesced into a cold, hard resolve. Esther had everything. Esther had Franklin. And Aria realized with chilling clarity that she would do anything to change that. Anything at all. The engagement news spread through the estate like wildfire. Everyone was happy for Esther. Everyone gushed about Franklin. Aria plastered a smile on her face, attending engagement parties, helping Esther pick out an iro and buba for her traditional engagement, offering advice on decor. Each forced smile was a dagger, each shared moment of joy a torment. Inside, Aria's mind was a whirlwind of dark thoughts. She replayed every interaction, every glance, every conversation between Franklin and Esther. She saw Franklin's hand resting on Esther's back, Esther's head tilted in laughter, her eyes sparkling with happiness. That happiness, Aria reasoned, was built on her pain. Esther, in her effortless perfection, had stolen what Aria believed was rightfully hers. She started researching, not overtly, not on her personal computer. She used the public library's computers, the internet at a local cyber cafe. She looked up poisons, methods of incapacitation, ways to leave no trace. Her archivist's mind, usually so devoted to preserving history, now turned to obliterating a future. She settled on a quiet, effective method. Something that would look like an accident or a desperate act by an unknown intruder. She had seen Esther's habit of leaving her front door unlocked when she was just tending her garden. And she knew Esther kept a heavy, ornate brass letter opener on her desk, a cherished gift from her late grandmother. It would be a perfect weapon, untraceable to Aria if used carefully and then disposed of. The plan formed slowly, meticulously, like a terrible mosaic coming together piece by piece. She would visit Esther as she often did. They would chat, drink coffee. Esther would be relaxed, trusting. Then, when the moment was right, when Esther's back was turned, Aria would act. The day came, a Tuesday afternoon. Franklin was away on a business trip, a detail Aria had subtly extracted from Esther weeks ago. Esther had planned to spend the day preparing invitations for the wedding. Aria offered to help, her voice falsely light. "I can come over around 3, help you with those embellishments if you like?" Aria suggested over the phone. "Oh, Aria, you're a lifesaver. That would be wonderful," Esther chirped, completely unsuspecting. Aria dressed carefully. Dark clothes, nothing too distinctive. She wore gloves, thin ones under her normal driving gloves, telling herself it was for the chilly weather. Her heart hammered, a frantic drum against her ribs, but her hands were steady. She felt a strange calm, a chilling clarity. This was what she had to do. This was the only way. At 3 o'clock precisely, Aria's car pulled up Esther's paved driveway. The house was bathed in the warm afternoon sun, the tropical flowers a vibrant splash of color against the elegant stone. Esther waved from the open doorway, a cheerful smile on her face. Come in, come in. I've just brewed some fresh coffee," Esther called out, her voice full of warmth. Aria stepped inside, taking in the familiar, comforting scent of Esther's home, a mix of polished wood, fresh flowers, and Esther's delicate perfume. Felt wrong. This place, so full of Esther's life, was about to become something else entirely. They sat at the large wooden dining table, surrounded by stacks of invitation cards, ribbons, and small wax seals. Esther chatted happily about wedding plans, about Franklin, about their future. Aria listened, nodding, offering superficial agreement, all the while watching Esther, her mind a cold calculation. "Oh, I just remembered. I need to grab the special wax for these," Esther said, pushing back her chair. "It's in the study, just through there." This was it. Esther walked into the small study, her back to Aria. The antique desk was against the far wall. Aria could see the brass letter opener, gleaming dully in the afternoon light. It was heavy, with a decorative handle shaped like a lion's head. Aria stood up, her movements fluid, almost silent. Her breath hitched, but she forced it down. She walked into the study, her footsteps muffled by the thick rug. Esther was bent over a drawer, rummaging through its contents. "Just a second. It's always hiding when I need it," Esther chuckled, her voice light and innocent. Aria reached the desk. Her hand closed around the lion's head handle of the letter opener. It was cold, solid. Her fingers tightened around it, her knuckles white. Esther straightened up, turning to face Aria. "Ah, here it is," she said, holding up a small block of red sealing wax. Her eyes, full of friendly anticipation, met Aria's. In that brief, horrifying moment, Aria saw the kindness, the trust, the pure, unadulterated friendship in Esther's gaze. For a flicker, just a flicker, a wave of nausea washed over her. But then, the image of Franklin, his arm around Esther, his laughing eyes fixed on her, flashed through Aria's mind. The bitterness surged back, overwhelming everything else. "What's that, Aria?" Esther asked, her brow furrowing slightly at the strange look on Aria's face, at the way Aria's hand was gripping something behind her back. Before Esther could fully register the danger, before a scream could form in her throat, Aria moved. Swiftly, brutally, the heavy brass letter opener struck Esther's temple with a sickening thud. Esther's eyes widened in shock, then glazed over. She crumpled to the floor without a sound, the block of red wax rolling from her grasp. Aria stood over her, breathing heavily, the lion's head still clutched in her hand. A small pool of blood began to seep from Esther's temple, staining the polished wooden floor. It was done. The air was thick with the scent of tropical flowers and death. Panic, cold and sharp, clawed at Aria. She had to move, quickly. She looked around the study. Nothing seemed out of place, except for Esther's lifeless body. She forced herself to think. Robbery. An intruder. She quickly wiped the letter opener clean with a napkin from the table, then threw it deep into the dense rose bushes outside the study window. She ran back through the house, snatching Esther's small, expensive handbag from the hall table, emptying its contents onto the floor, and tossing the bag under the sofa. She opened a few drawers, pulled out some books, made it look messy but not obviously ransacked. She pulled out a few jewelry boxes from Esther's bedroom, throwing them haphazardly onto the bed, leaving a small, cheap necklace visible as if the intruder had dismissed it. Her hands were shaking now, but she forced herself to breathe. She wiped down the doorknobs, the coffee cups, any surface she might have touched. She knew Esther's routine. She usually went for a stroll in the community park nearby around 4. Aria would leave, make it look like she had left before the crime, and then discover the body later, or let someone else. She stepped out of the house, closing the front door firmly behind her. The sun still shone. The birds still sang. The world was agonizingly normal. Aria walked to her car, got in, and drove away, leaving Esther, her best friend, lying dead in her beautiful house, all for the twisted, possessive love of a man. The next morning, the serene quiet of the Lagos estate was shattered. Esther was found dead in her house by her neighbor, Mama Ifioma, who had popped over to borrow some cooking ingredients. The police were called, and soon, flashing blue lights and the buzz of concerned neighbors filled the usually peaceful lane. Chief Inspector Adebayo was a man of quiet determination, with shrewd, weary eyes that had seen too much. He surveyed the scene. The slightly ajar study drawer, the overturned handbag, the small, seemingly insignificant necklace left behind. It was a messy, almost half-hearted attempt at staging a robbery. Something felt off. Aria was among the first people Adebayo wanted to speak to. She arrived at Esther's house, her face pale, her eyes red-rimmed, a picture of distraught grief. She clutched a tissue, her voice choked with sobs as she recounted her last interaction with Esther. "I was here yesterday afternoon, Inspector," she explained, her voice trembling just enough to sound believable. Esther was so excited about the wedding invitations. I helped her for a while around 3 o'clock. We had coffee. I left just before 4. She was going to take a stroll in the community park. Adebayo listened, observing her closely. Her grief seemed genuine. almost too genuine. She spoke of Esther with such deep affection, such sorrow. But Adebayo had learned to trust his gut, and his gut was telling him something wasn't quite right. "Did you notice anything unusual, Miss Aria?" Adebayo asked gently. "Anyone lurking around? Any strange cars?" Aria shook her head, tears welling again. "No, Inspector. Nothing. It was a beautiful, peaceful afternoon, just like any other day." A tremor ran through her, but she attributed it to shock. The initial investigation found no forced entry, no significant items stolen. The weapon, the brass letter opener, was missing. Forensics found a faint, almost imperceptible scent of a specific type of coffee and a rare, almost metallic perfume in the study, a scent that didn't match Esther's usual floral notes. The police also found a single, dark thread caught on the rose bushes outside the study window. Small, easily dismissed details. Franklin returned, devastated. His grief was raw, open, and heartbreaking. Aria was there for him, a pillar of strength, offering comfort, organizing the funeral arrangements, managing the onslaught of condolences. She was the perfect grieving friend, the loyal companion. Everyone praised her resilience, her devotion to Esther's memory. But Adebayo kept coming back to Aria. Her alibi was solid, backed by her housemaid who had seen her return home just after 4. But the details nagged at him. Why had the intruder been so clumsy? Why only a few cheap items stolen? And the missing letter opener. It was a distinctive item, something Esther would have cherished. He had a quiet word with Franklin. Franklin confirmed that Esther and Aria had been best friends for years. He also mentioned, almost as an afterthought, that Aria had been particularly attentive to him since he arrived in Lagos. "She was always so helpful," he said, a faint frown on his face, almost eager to please. Adebayo's mind began to connect the dots. The perfect friendship, the new man, the quiet, devoted best friend. It was a classic tale. Adebayo visited the crime scene again, alone this time. He meticulously re-examined everything. He focused on the rose bushes outside the study window. He found it, half buried beneath a cascade of pink petals. The brass letter opener, its lion's head tarnished by dew. It was wiped clean, but a tiny, almost invisible speck of Esther's blood was still caught in the intricate carving of the lion's mane. And next to it, tangled in a thorn, was another dark thread, identical to the one found earlier. He took the threads to the lab. They were identified as a specific type of synthetic fiber, common in certain dark outdoor jackets. Then he remembered the scent, the metallic perfume. He had detected a faint echo of it when Aria had visited the station. It was unusual, distinct. He went to Aria's house under the pretense of a follow-up interview. As she opened the door, a faint whiff of that same metallic perfume reached him, and draped over a chair in her hallway, he noticed a dark jacket, the exact color and material that matched the fibers. He asked her about it. "Lovely jacket, Miss Aria. Is that a new purchase?" Aria's eyes flickered, just for a moment. "Oh, this old thing? No, I've had it for ages." Her voice was a little too casual. Adebayo then asked about the letter opener. Esther cherished that brass letter opener, a gift from her grandmother. "It's missing." Aria's face paled. "Missing? Oh, how terrible. So, the intruder took it? How awful." She wrung her hands. "Perhaps," Adebayo said, his gaze fixed on her. "Or perhaps the intruder discarded it. Perhaps it was a weapon. It's a heavy, ornate item. What do you think?" Aria swallowed hard. I don't know, Inspector. I really don't." She avoided his eyes. Adebayo knew. The pieces were falling into place. The staged robbery, the missing distinctive weapon, the unusual scent, the specific thread found at the scene, and now the recovered weapon with Esther's blood and a matching thread from Aria's jacket, found just outside the study window where an intruder might have thrown it after the fact. And Aria's nervous reaction. He also remembered Franklin's comment about Aria's attentiveness. He decided to have another, more direct conversation with Franklin. "Mr. Franklin," Adebayo began, How would you describe Aria's feelings towards you? Franklin looked surprised. Aria, she's a good friend. Esther's best friend. Very supportive, especially now. And before Esther's death? Did you ever get the impression she harbored feelings for you beyond friendship? Adebayo pressed. Franklin hesitated. A flicker of discomfort crossed his face. Well, she was always very keen. Offered to help me with things. Complimented me a lot. I just thought she was being friendly, being Esther's friend. He suddenly looked sickened. Are you saying? Adebayo nodded slowly. We believe Esther was murdered. Not by a random intruder. We believe she was murdered by someone she knew. Someone she trusted implicitly. Franklin stared at him, speechless. The truth, ugly and painful, began to dawn on him. Adebayo called Aria in for another interview. This time, his tone was different. The gentle investigator was gone, replaced by the relentless seeker of truth. Miss Aria, he began, placing a small, sealed evidence bag on the table between them. Inside, clearly visible, was the brass letter opener. We found this in the rose bushes outside Esther's study window. Aria's eyes fixed on it, wide with a terror she could no longer hide. Her carefully constructed facade began to crumble. And we found this, he continued, placing another bag beside it. Inside were the dark threads. Matching threads were found near the letter opener, and a single thread was caught on Esther's dress. These threads, Miss Aria, match the jacket you were wearing yesterday, the one hanging in your hallway. Aria's breath hitched. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Her face was ashen. There was no forced entry, Miss Aria. Nothing of value was truly stolen. The robbery was staged, and not very well. You were the last person to see Esther alive, before her neighbor found her. You knew Franklin was away. You knew Esther's habits. Adebayo's voice was calm, but unyielding. You killed Esther, didn't you, Aria? Because you loved Franklin, and you couldn't stand that he chose her. Aria stared at him, tears streaming down her face, not of grief for Esther, but of raw, bitter defeat. Her composure shattered completely. She didn't deny it. Instead, a chilling, desperate laugh escaped her. She always had everything. Aria's voice was a ragged whisper. Then it grew, filled with venom. Everything. The glow, the charm, the laughter. And then Franklin. He was supposed to be mine. I loved him. I loved him more than she ever could. I saw him first. I was the one who truly understood him. She gripped the edge of the table, her knuckles white. She just smiled and he fell into her lap. He didn't see me. He never saw me. She stole him. She stole my future. I had to. Don't you understand? I had to. Her confession poured out. A torrent of twisted logic, years of suppressed envy, and the desperate, possessive love that had corroded her soul. She described the afternoon, the coffee, Esther's innocent laugh, the moment she grabbed the letter opener, the sickening thud, the blood. Her eyes were wild, unseeing, replaying the scene. She confessed to trying to stage the robbery, to wiping the weapon and tossing it. She even admitted to the metallic perfume, a new one she had started wearing, hoping Franklin would notice it on her. Adebayo listened, jotting notes, the horror of it all settling over him. It was a story as old as time, a story of love, jealousy, and betrayal, twisted into a cold, brutal murder. Aria was arrested. The news shocked the Lagos estate to its core. The beloved Esther, murdered not by some faceless monster, but by her best friend. The betrayal cut deeper than any wound. Franklin was shattered. The woman he loved was gone, taken by the woman he had trusted as a friend. The ease with which Aria had slipped into their lives, the subtle manipulations, the chilling revelation of her true feelings left him reeling. The joy of his engagement turned to ashes, his future a gaping void. He felt a profound sense of guilt, wondering if his own blindness, his own charm, had somehow played a part in fanning the flames of Aria's obsession. The trial was quick, brutal. Aria pleaded not guilty, claiming temporary insanity, but her detailed confession, the physical evidence, and Adebayo's meticulous investigation painted a clear picture. She was found guilty of murder. As the judge delivered the life sentence, Aria stood impassive, her face devoid of emotion. Perhaps, in her mind, she had done what she had to do. Perhaps, in her twisted logic, she had claimed Franklin, even if it was only in the bitter victory of preventing Esther from having him. The tropical flowers still bloomed at Esther's house, but their beauty now seemed tinged with sadness. The house remained empty, a silent testament to a life cut short, a friendship destroyed. The estate slowly recovered, but the scar remained. The story of Esther and Aria became a cautionary tale, whispered in hushed tones, a chilling reminder that sometimes the deepest betrayals come from the closest bonds, and that love, when twisted by obsession and envy, can become a force of unimaginable destruction. The friendship that was once a bond of gold had dissolved into a shadow, forever stained by the blood of a murder, driven by a love that turned fatal. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more twisted love stories.